Really? Oh, good for you.
For other things, so.
Okay.
Did you stay around town for the holidays?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did too.
We've got most of our family here, so we did we had a very busy tour of the greater Seattle area.
Been there, done that.
Her first year. But it was good.
Yeah. I know. We've only went up twice so far.
Always, you're up on West Hill now, right?
I do, yeah.
Are you over by the high school? Or
really?
Right by the high school. Across the street from the
in the sun and
upper fields.
Yeah.
no lines.
Right along that road there.
Oh, nice.
I know, it is rough.
Curvy Road is the
I
next,
try not to go on
corner.
weekends, but it happens anyway,
Road.
you know.
is that, they have a
I've got
It's like
like
that.
traffic calming.
Traffic coming for high school.
all these like late Washington.
Oh, in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was like, I've driven west to like 100 times, like, where's the
There's
curvy
no
road?
curvy road.
I got you. That makes a little more
It
sense.
was, and they still manage to go pretty fast
They
through
do,
there.
yeah. I don't know, those speed bumps hurt my car. I tried to avoid them, I promise.
Yeah.
It's fun. Also, people never seem to move over, I've learned. I've
Well,
noticed they don't like to
you-
move over when you're splitting it.
Yeah, you're supposed to wait, you know, and usually gives them every opportunity to go first. but-
All right. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Blaine, yes? Okay. Welcome, everyone. I call the January 2025 Parks and Recreation Board meeting to order. Before we move on to the agenda items, I'd like to acknowledge our hybrid meeting format. Board meetings in the public can now attend in person or via Teams. Do you need to record this? Are you?
She's recording it.
Oh, perfect. We will now take roll call. Please say here when I call your name and position number. Position 1, Laura.
Here.
Position 2, Malia.
Here.
Position 3, Nicholas.
Here.
Position 4, Sheila.
Here.
Position 5, Manny.
Here.
Position 6, Maggie.
Here.
Position 7, that's me, I'm here. Position 8, hello, Barbie. And position 9, Chase.
Here.
House. In addition, we have the following city staff in attendance. Parks and Recreation Director Nick Stroop. Parks Operation Manager Scott Purdy. Parks and Recreation Administrative Coordinator Tanisha Tadme. And Recreation Community Events Coordinator Blaine Land. I will now invite a motion to approve the December 2024 minutes. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Laura, seconded by Sheila. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes unanimously. Now move on to public comments. Hello. Sarah, Dave. Would you like to make a comment?
I'd just like to wish everybody here a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, right back at you.
Here.
Here.
Do y'all know Sarah Witt? No. She's the student for the.
Sarah, I'm with Friends of North Creek Forest. I'm the board president
Oh,
of Friends of North Creek Forest. So listen and learn.
How long have you been doing that? Has it been 10 years?
Yes.
I think- When I started, yeah. Okay.
He hasn't been president all.
I have been president the whole time.
Okay, all right.
Most of that time.
Yeah, volunteering for that time.
All right, moving on to Chairperson reports and comments. I don't have a lot to say, but just excited for 2025. Here's everything that we have in store for us this year. We've already accomplished so much in 2024 with all these big projects. The playground, the landing. It's been a really amazing year and look forward to the year to come. Today, Scott is with us. We deep dive into operations. I'm very excited about that. Sorry you were sick last time.
It's okay.
You good?
I'm good.
Good?
Yep.
Good to hear. All right. Let's dive into it.
Okay, well, thanks so much. I think I know most of you, maybe Barbie, we haven't met. I'm Scott Purdy, the Park Operations Manager for the City of Bothell. I've been here around 10 years or so, I think going on 11. But thanks for having me today. Just really a kind of a general overview of park operations and there's a section at the end for you guys to ask any questions that you would like. Okay. So a little bit of an overview. This might be kind of old news to you guys, but we're a 7-day-a-week operation. You can see the 26 parks, the ball fields, the playgrounds, the municipal property, shelters, the 2 historic cemeteries, and 3.6 miles of public trails that we take care of. The 2 historic cemeteries, one is active. It's Pioneer Cemetery, which is behind UW Bothell. And then we have Swedish Cemetery, which is behind QFC, which is not active. There's 6 headstones up there, but apparently 40-something bodies are buried there. So we're still in the midst of finding those. The operations crew consists of 10 full-time employees and 6 part-time employees. We are bumping the full-time employees to 12 coming up in this year. The 6 part-time employees, seasonals, really start from May to September. And we've been pretty fortunate in the last few years to have the same seasonals come back. Try to get those folks that are in college, or, that can have the summers free and can keep coming back. We can teach them, we can get them to kind of operate the Bothell way, and then we've been fortunate in a couple of seasonals to have them as full-timers. So that's kind of the model there. Okay, and this is kind of the organizational chart. Wow, Nick's got a really large up there. But
Haven't seen that.
so you guys don't know the faces, but let's just kind of go through this real quick. Laurel Cyrus has been with us for 15 years. She's our parks lead. Her and Mick Mathis are probably the longest tenured people here on our crew. Nick hired Laurel and Mick, and then I hired the rest of the crew. Right now, we have 1 lead in Laurel, 4 senior maintenance workers, and then 5 maintenance workers. So each senior works with one of the maintenance workers in their zone. There is one zone that has 2 maintenance workers with them, and that's Tony with Brian and Ryan Fox, who work in the ball field zone. Okay. As far as the daily operations and crew zones, every day we meet each morning. We talk about the day. We actually do a 20-minute stretching routine that is actually cut down on our injuries and anything related with kind of getting hurt in the field. After that, the crew goes out and opens up their parks before moving on to their daily tasks and projects. Open up is simply cleaning the restrooms, emptying all the trash, blowing all the pathways, making sure the playground is safe, and any other general safety concerns around the park. So usually they can get to their projects and stuff about 8:30 or 9 after coming in at 6:30. So it's a couple hours to open up, making sure that everyone's good to go for our customers. And then we put everyone into zones. There's 4 zones. You'll see the A, B, C level, priority level. And just wanted to let you know, A level is high level maintenance and priority, requires daily visits and 1 to 2 mows per week. B is mid-level maintenance and priority, requires several visits per week and 1 mow every week to 10 days. And then C level is low level maintenance and priority, requires 1 visit per week and mowing maintenance 1 to 2 times per month. So Mick is our senior on this crew. David is one of our maintenance workers. They maintain these certain parks. This is Rob and Evan, again, another senior and a maintenance worker. And I to kind of pause on this, I think it'd be great at some point to have the maintenance crew and you guys get together. And I don't know, have a lunch or something at a park where we can kind of get to know each other. I mean, we have all these names and you're like, yeah, who's whatever. But the crew, even in the last week when I was telling them about this presentation, they're like, I know Whitney. I know Sheila. I know Manny.
Notorious.
But it'd be nice to kind of know everyone else.
Could be bad.
So that was one of the comments kind of from earlier this week that I think that'd be something really fun that we could do to kind of get to know each other. But just kind of wanted to let you know what each zone is there. Zone 3, 2 people, but when you look at the actual parks they maintain and the sites, you got Pabble, you got Wayne, you got City Hall, you got police and court. Those are very high visible parks and sites. So during especially the spring to the summer, there's a high focus at that area. So having 2 more maintenance workers come on, we're hoping to put another one into this zone to kind of help with making sure that those sites are good to go. Zone 4, you'll see 3 people there, Tony, Brian, and Ryan. So now we have 2 Ryans and a Brian. I've asked them if we could call them by a nickname. They didn't like that. So anyway, Zone 4 is really the bulk of the sports fields. So North Creek, Doug Allen, that's a heavy lift for those guys. Cedar Grove. So that's that zone. And then just a few things to mention for the recap of 2024. Evan and Rob and Brian, again, you don't know who the faces to this, but they did some really good Blythe replacement of some of the curbs in front of the parking spots. As you know, Aaron Milner has been in here talking about the pickleball courts and the sport courts. Those have been awesome. It's so nice after 10 years of being here to see beautiful courts, people coming to them and really enjoying them. Even the basketball courts, which I'm a big fan of. We still haven't played one-on-one Tanisha. But yeah, it's just been awesome. And you can see the excitement in all the customers that come to those places. Equipment replacement, it's really replacement but addition. So this might be kind of getting into the weeds a little bit. We have one walk-behind blower that doesn't require anything on your back. We have another mower that has a Buffalo blower on the front. And then we just got another one, walk-behind blower. So that's 3 blowers where you don't have to put the backpack straps on you. It actually increases the efficiency of how we take care of the synthetic fields or leaves or general trash or debris. In the past, we've had one wing deck mower, which is about a 12-foot mower, and that 12-foot wide mower, that's mowed all of the ball fields and primarily been sticking to that. We were fortunate enough this season to get another flatbed, another trailer, a new wing deck, and then another mower. And the efficiency in that is we can send someone out to mow the ball fields. We can also send a big wing deck and another mower to places like Blythe, Cedar Grove, Centennial that have big areas. They can mow all that in a lot more efficient way. So that's been really handy. A couple other things with the highlighted items in 2024. We have a new full-time crew member. His name is Ryan Fox. Does anyone remember Selena Williams? Of course you do. So she actually moved on to be the supervisor for Mountain Lake Terrace. So the goal for Nick and I is always to make sure that obviously we're growing our crew, we have good attitudes, we have good work ethic, but what's important to them, right? And can we help in any way to make sure that they get to the next step? And I think that's been a big concern, or not concern, but thing that we've been really interested in. So Selena came to us, had another opportunity, and we wanted to make sure that she was successful in that. Ryan Fox has been here about 6 months. Again, another name, no face. But we'll make sure we get that so you guys can get together. Hey.
The city email has a way to type in names and find everybody's faces.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
Yeah. And again, the face-to-face lunch or whatever that Blaine pays for would be great. Again, everyone,
Yeah.
you know, Whitney's obviously out and about a little bit more than everyone else, but I think that would be, again, a great thing. Probably go to grok Scottsy or.
Oh, yes,
Hey.
absolutely.
All right. Sorry.
I can make that work.
I'll take a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
These are other ways we support the department and the city. I'm not going to read each single one, but I can kind of offer a little bit of insight on some of these. We definitely support all of the events that go on through the city, whether through Blaine or City Hall. With the volunteer work parties, Shelby Krogh really kind of works that one and makes sure that they're ready to go. But we probably have about 10 to 12 work parties per year. And each time the full-time members, whatever park it is, they lead that event. They'll introduce everybody, tell them about the plan, what's the kind of focus for the day, work with them, and then close out that volunteer party. As far as trainings and workshops, we want all of our workers to be, to make sure they have their pesticide license. We're pesticide free, but having that knowledge and the growing trends and what happens every year, that's really good for us to know. We only will treat noxious weeds through King County. Support athletic fields and rentals. Yeah, we definitely do that. I think last time I was here, you guys asked me what was kind of the stresses or whatever, and I was like, well, I do the field rentals. Hopefully you know that Tanisha does that now with her awesome background in recreation.
We want to know more about that.
So basically I got stressed. No. It was a big lift. It was a big lift. And having someone like her that comes in, can do pretty much everything, has that solid 10 plus years of working in recreation. It's just been seamless. When we sat down for a couple times and she's like, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. So that's been a really, really cool transition. So that no longer is under my belt, but I'm helping a little bit or hurting a little bit. But yeah, Tanisha's been wonderful at that. So that. The dog park. Yeah, so that's usually up between May and September. It takes the crew one day to put that up. It takes one day to bring that down. It's been very popular, as you guys know. We try to go in there every day and empty the trash, try to clean up as much dog stuff that we can. But yeah, it's been a huge success. And then we've taken over the maintenance on Main Street, which we had in the past. I think briefly it went to the businesses, but we've taken that back. And that's really taking care of all the maintenance, making sure the street is blown, and any other safety stuff kind of going on there. That. Other topics of interest, kind of talked about the dog, well, dogs off leash. There's really two areas that we seem to be impacted the most. That's Wayne's and Doug Allen, from what I can see. Wayne's, there's more coming to that. I don't know if we're going to talk about that tonight or.
We can, you can highlight it.
I don't know.
Now you have to.
What's the best way to?
What he's alluding to is, we were fortunate enough to go to the NRPA conference, and some select staff were at an educational session, and it was about dog park safety, or dog and public space safety. But it's super robust. It can't just happen from a parks department. It has to be with animal control office, your fire, your police, so you know local and city and state policies and laws. And so, as you all know, the former Wayne Golf Course, master planning is going to take place, and we want to tee up the conversation prior of what is the best methodology amongst all public spaces specific to parks and open spaces of dog and pet waste safeties. And it's going to be a thorough process. We're going to do trainings of canine safety, trainings of how to approach a customer or someone that's using the space. And then, of course, those things of signage, but signage is only as impactful if you have a unified message amongst fire, police, parks, and animal control. So that's what he's alluding to. But it will be I think it will be a great internal work process, and then we'll work with our stakeholders to push that forward.
So are you saying that crew will be having a more active role in
So they-
enforcement?
Education will be the beginning. Education's always the beginning. Enforcement is typically your animal control officer. We don't have the staff to be deputized right now to be a ranger or to make those fees. I mean, people can be, and I'll let Nick allude to a little bit more information, but we have to do foundational education. Because right now, at this point, it's, as you know, Whale Scouts being at Fort Wayne Golf Course, it becomes a safety issue for our staff to approach a owner with a pet that might have different conversations, but also just in general, any usership going out. So it's a multi-pronged approach of education of users using it and helping the community understand what our approach on it is, along with equipping our staff to feel confident enough to approach it and having something that isn't reactive, it's proactive. So one of the cities, what they did is a long 6 to 8 month protocol of educating people in public spaces and then equipping staff with maybe a leash or doggy bags to create that bridge, that relationship. So it's going to take a more robust, and then Nick could allude to if finding or fees, but that would be animal control for those larger matters if needed.
They did that a few years ago. Animal control used to be at Wayne all the time.
Animal control actually is still at Wayne. They go out
Okay.
there and do periodic, checks. But the challenge, of course, is we're talking 7 days a week, 24 hours
Yeah,
a day.
yeah.
A lot of the use happens at night. A lot of the use happens early in the morning. Some of it happens all throughout the day. I mean, Wayne Golf Course is probably a great example that it happens at every single park.
Right.
So the ones that we notice it at the most is where we have the highest incidence of that. But if you go to most any park at about 5 p.m., in the summer particularly, 5 to 10 p.m., there's going to be dogs off leash, and we're not going to approach it so much from an enforcement standpoint, at least at first. It's more about education. We want to be proactive. We want to just say, hey, we're not just ignoring that it's an issue, but we want to try to work with our community to educate them, to show them that, here's why, we are asking you to do certain things, certain ways. Do we think that we're going to solve the problem? No. Do we think we can make a difference in the community? Yes. And that's what we're going to do.
So I'm going to throw out a wild thing that I was going to talk to you after this anyways, but New York City Central Park is a dog park from 6 to 9 in the morning and from 8 to 1 in the morning, evening, and they allow certain areas of Central Park to have dogs off leash. And given my dog, just planting that seed of, I'd be happy to reach out to the Central Park team or write them an email to ask, more of the detailed rules and regs. But I thought that was an interesting concept that certain areas, and again, obviously Central Park is huge, but there are certain areas, they're not fenced in or anything, that allow dogs off leash.
I wonder how often the maintenance crew would go in there.
I have no idea, but I didn't want to reach out because if you guys knew somebody, I didn't want to.
I think it's a great idea. And I think that as we meet and we kind of figure out what those next steps look like, perhaps that's one of them. And we can work with you and work with the Parks Board on what that might look like.
Yeah, I just thought there was an article on that, but
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to share the information from the other cities that have kind of rolled it out. And it's Parks and Recreation, so they're boots on the ground really dealing with it.
Right.
I think what we were all strategizing is Fort Wayne Golf Course master planning is going to come. This conversation is going to be
Yes.
ahead of us soon. So how can we have some sort of educational processy internally so that when these questions do come out, what are our state laws? What are
Right.
the local city laws that restrain us from certain things? And also understanding our certain properties, passive use, active use, what can and can't we do?
Is it even permitted, according to the grant restrictions, to allow it to be a dog park for certain hours?
So, so much education within that, but I think will be a great.
So, okay.
And it's nice when the dog park is up at Pavel when we go talk to customers, the crew can tell them, give them all the rules, right? But we can address, okay, why don't you go down to Powell where you can go off leash, small dog area, large dog area. So that's been very helpful.
Quick question, Scott. Are there any thoughts in the plans coming up with Babel not having a dog park? Thoughts on where to move the pop-up dog park or where to place that demand? I love the ideas of educating the community, but if we aren't also offering them a space to go, it's
It'll definitely be a conversation that we're going to have. So one of the things that we also notice that when we have the actual dog park up is that we are not reducing the incidence of people off leash in other parks. The other part that we're struggling with right now is that when we took down the dog park this year, we found like 160 different piles of dog feces. People just simply aren't taking the responsibility, even in the designated areas where we have bags, it's enclosed, the rules are right there. They simply aren't taking that responsibility to do that kind of cleanup. And so it's going to have to be a multi-pronged approach. We're going to have to, try to figure out what makes the most sense. Again, probably not going to solve the entire problem of, people letting their dogs off leash, but making an effort to try to be positive, try to do, the best amount of good that we can in the community. And there are a lot of responsible dog owners as well. So empower them as well to kind of help the others along. So.
Can I get back to my presentation?
Now, Scott.
No, good stuff. Thank you. Last time I was here, we talked a lot about graffiti. Really, it kind of comes in waves, but it seems like the graffiti artists are really centralized at the North Creek Forest. They tag the house, they tag the storage building.
That's right.
And it seems to be a couple times a month or once a month. We haven't had a lot of graffiti in other spaces. If we do, it's usually on the buildings that we're going to eventually take down. So the William Penn old restroom, and then a couple of places at Wayne's. Something that's not on here, but Laurel, the lead, and then Ryan, who's one of our arborists. We deal with a lot of tree issues throughout the year, especially neighbors of the parks. If there's something coming over, they got branches or whatever, there's a lot of customer service involved with that, which takes a good amount of time, but it's also creating those relationships with folks that border our parks and understanding that there's impacts from each side with trees. And we're going to do our best to make sure that everyone is safe and make sure that we're kind of working together on that.
Ryan shared with me that he's been working on a project since he's had an injury. Do you want to share about?
The project he's been working on is redoing our shop. So it's a little tough as a supervisor manager coming into a shop, and I have extreme OCD. Some people call it the A word. But I'm very neat, right? Everything right. But that's their working space. And over the last few years, Laurel became a lead, I think in 19 or 18. She has the kind of same mentality. But Ryan has spent most of the last few weeks redoing all of our shop. So throwing old stuff out, making sure that it's really organized. Everything is labeled right now. It's awesome. So when you walk in there, there's still a lot more space for us to put additional things. We have a 2-bay shop over at BOC. But that's what he's been working on mainly for the last couple months. So yeah.
Inventory situation?
Sorry?
A tree analysis on trees?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can speak to that. Yeah, so we had a backlog of trees that needed some professional analysis. So again, to what Scott said, we have arborists on staff, and we, in a light duty situation, it's a perfect opportunity for him to go and address some of those issues. So he's been working on that as well.
I like the drying rack that they've created too.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, with that kind of luncheon or getting to know each other, it'd be cool if you guys could come to our shop and kind of see what that looks like, and even our building. Whitney, obviously, you've been at a couple of those places, but yeah, to kind of see the operations, that would be pretty cool. So. Also, when it comes to the park signage, we have some new signage over at the North Creek Fields that I know Blaine and Aaron kind of worked on. So we're going to try and kind of mirror that as far as the messaging, the colors, all that kind of stuff. Some of our signs, Nick and I try to get away from no, 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 right? 18 no's, and then, hey, have a good experience here at the park. So rewording a little bit of that, but also making it more consistent throughout the city. And I forgot to mention on a couple of the highlighted items for 2024, we had 6 funerals at Pioneer Cemetery this past year. So that we have a contractor over there that actually does the digging and the full service. Our crew will come over, we'll do pallbearers, we'll help kind of put everything into the ground and do customer service. So that's usually 6 to 8 per year. And our contractor has been with us, I think, since 1995.
Can I jump back to the signage?
Yeah.
Is there a plan for additional signage of Wayne, Blythe, and the back 9? I volunteer at the North Shore Senior Center.
Huh.
And when they found out, they really complained about not knowing where the paths went.
Okay.
Because the bridge and the tunnel and all of that. And I've even been asked, just being there, where do these go?
Yeah.
And so I would just plant the seed that there be some clarity wherever you enter. And that may involve some of King County, but some of the paths and where they go and that kind of thing. There's just not a lot of clarity. And when they're newer to the area, it's more difficult for them, or willingness, I guess I'm going to use that word, to go down a path they don't know where they're going.
You make an excellent point, and that's actually one of the deliverables that we have in the master planning of the Wayne Golf Course, to develop a wayfinding, historical,
excellent.
educational, ecological, sort of template, not only that we could put on our trails, but all throughout our park system.
Yeah.
So very much, that's going to be one of our focuses.
Okay, great.
And there's a couple other resources too, Sheila, I can send to you. King County has some really robust, but it's digital, so it's not in front. I will say there are some of those, but I will definitely echo what
Yes.
Nick was saying, but there are some
Go
really
ahead
cool
and,
digital,
yeah, that'd be.
even specific to Bothell.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
So that really kind of concludes my presentation. We have a picture here from Arbor Day. I know this is kind of strange, but I wanted to kind of point out a couple folks that are on the parks. This is Ryan Fox. He's our newest employee.
Whitney.
Nick's daughter. Rob, one of our seniors.
Yes.
Ryan, one of our seniors. He's the arborist that Ian talked about. Mr. Aaron Milner, as you know, Adam Blanc. There's Laurel, our lead.
Yes.
Brian Swalfield, and then David Lyle. We had 2 people that weren't here. That's Mick Mathis, who has been with us for, I think, almost 25 years. And then Tony Shara, who heads up the ball field area. So with that, any questions, concerns, complaints?
I have some questions about ball field maintenance, other than mowing and watering. You guys aerify it all?
Oh, yeah.
Top dressing?
Twice a year.
fertilization, How often?
We do it in the fall and the spring. We'll go through and do a full turf maintenance on all the natural turf fields. So we'll aerate it, we'll top dress, we'll seed, fertilize. We do that twice a year.
Irrigation in-house?
Yes. And then Laurel pretty much heads up the irrigation. And then there's also the synthetic field maintenance, which is kind of a daily practice.
Get over it and.
Yeah. Do you have synthetics in your? Yeah.
Well, as we should though. Kind of
That's
keep
it.
practices, do you have, I don't know, something you run over it and it rakes them essentially?
Oh, yeah.
Like a verticutter?
Yep, exactly. We have, it's called LeBron. It'll
Yeah.
break up everything. And then we have a top dresser that'll put out some of the crumb rubber and fill in areas. But that's usually twice a month. We try to go over the fields with that, yeah, depending on the weather.
So where areas like Gold Mouse and stuff?
Exactly.
It just gets hammered?
Exactly. But on the natural turf areas, as you know, those get dug out so much during soccer. So at the end of soccer, which is usually the end of October, we only have from October really till the spring to kind of get that rehab back. And as you know, the winter isn't the best for growing anything. So that's been a little bit of struggle, but we have repatched, put in sod, fresh sod in some of the goal areas.
Fertilizer, how many pounds in? Fertilizer, how many pounds in do you normally put down in a year?
10? 10%.
I had a clarifying question for you about the leaf maintenance.
Yes.
In some of the parks and how the leaf litter can actually be beneficial for the ecology of the park.
Right.
I know your response was great. It was heavily leaning towards like the maintenance crew and them not getting injured, which is totally understandable. I just wondered, I didn't fully understand, or maybe it wasn't addressed, like, is it possible? Have you looked at leaving some of these leaves on the ground more than?
Yes. Yes, we have.
Is that possible to do more of that?
Yes, we can. And I don't know which parks you all go to. There's definitely a fine balance there of expectations, right? If you go to a lot of our peripheral parks, all of the leaves are blown back into the beds. Something like Pavel, where I'm going to have events, where I have people there all the time, where I need the grass to be, I need the leaves to be gone after March. With that email, which was great, and I'm sorry I didn't address everything on there, but we're trying to do our best to kind of rethink that leaf management. We do know the benefits of leaving leaves right in the beds. At the same time, again, that balance of, are we going to have really well-maintained beds when we have events down there? And again, mainly kind of talking about Pavel, right? But the other parks, we can definitely, and we have, used leaves to suffocate the weeds, right? And to kind of put that into the beds and to kind of re-energize those beds.
Yeah. I mean, and I wonder, because obviously when visitors are at the parks, they might scoff at it or something.
No one has ever said
Another
anything to me.
Opportunity potentially for even temporary signage to say, this is intentional, and this is why we're doing it. I mean, I've only recently learned very little about it in my own garden, and I'm still trying to sort out what to do, because I've left them, then it's kind of a disaster at some point. I'm like, do I remove them now? I want to plant, like, do I just dig them in and mix it? I'm still learning, so I'm not an
Right.
expert by any means, but I
But that's the point is,
recognize that there is
yeah.
benefit to
So
it.
you said garden versus a park,
Yeah.
to me, might be a little different. I think there's opportunities in some of our parks to do that, for sure. And I think Whitney brought up having leaves left over that folks could take to their yards to kind of help with their garden. If you looked at the example of Doug Allen, there's all those trees on 88th, right? We've left them in the past. They kind of can get, right? To be frankly honest with you, dogs come by, right? Do their thing. If you leave the leaves too much, that creates mold problems. We had 2 people 2 years ago that got sick actually from cleaning up the Doug Allen leaves. Again, I don't have the right answer for you. It's just that balance. And again, the more high priority parks, again, with events like Pavel, I'm going to treat that a little bit differently. Everything else, yes, we can definitely take a new approach, which is on that email, I said we're going to meet as a team to kind of talk about leaf management. We can definitely take a new approach to that and bring in some more of those examples of leaving the leaves. But eventually, we're going to probably clean them out. I don't want to, so every year we'll top dress the beds with mulch or wood chips. I don't necessarily want that on top of leaves. I want to create some of that mold to get out, and then I want to put fresh chips on there to energize those beds. Does that make sense?
Where do the leaves go when they're hauled off?
They go to our shops. Shop 1 up by Brickyard, and then over to our shop at BOC. I'm not sure, Nick, where,
Go to Cedar Grove.
Cedar Grove Compost?
You get picked up.
And I know you guys see us from in the fall when the leaves are going down and you see all these people and it's 20 people doing leaf stuff. It's for a couple weeks.
It's a big job. I mean.
It's a big job, but every department is in there, right? And the street sweepers from Storm are 7 days a week during those months. And we coordinate with them to clean up everything. It's a little different because we tell customers, don't blow your stuff into the street. And then here we are as park workers blowing our stuff into the street and waiting for the sweepers to come by. But when you actually look at it, it's maybe a month of that work. So I think we're doing pretty good, but there's always a chance for improvement and to bring in some new ideas and to kind of make sure that we're looking at the leaf management even from a customer standpoint.
What about where the new trees are planted? Blaine? Is it helpful to have, I don't know how much leaves those?
So we would put chips.
have, but-
We'd put chips around the new trees. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm sure Whitney does, but that's what we do. We put wood chips around there. Yeah.
Interesting concept.
Hi.
You mentioned injuries quite a few times. It's one thing I actually
In the
know quite a
email?
bit about. Oh, no, just like talking now, like,
In general.
just in general. And I heard something about a dynamic warm-up at the beginning of the day, which I fully support. But I'm just wondering, like, is that a big issue? Now that I've just heard like some things come up a few times and like, what strategies have we tried, if it is an issue, not just a random once in a while thing?
For injuries?
Yeah, like are people getting injured and like what
Yeah.
have we tried to,
Yeah.
what kind of things are happening?
So like 3 years ago, Nick and I got a few incident reports. So if someone gets hurt on the job, they fill out an incident report. It goes to me, it goes to Nick. And it was my shoulder, my wrist. And I'm like, what is that? What were you doing? Well, I was blowing. Or I was putting a trash can up over my shoulder with 80 pounds. Okay, so we got with actually the safety committee and we had someone come in to talk about the correct way of disposing of even trash. I mean, those can weigh up to 80 pounds, of how to either take some of the trash, put it in another trash bag and then haul it. We've also done, we had someone come in and teach us about stretching and the proper techniques of stretching each morning and the proper techniques of how to dispose of everything we have. I go through with the crew a few times a year. I don't want them backpack blowing all day. There's no reason to do it. When I was in the field forever ago, every winter I had to go get acupuncture because this was hurting me so much, right? And they had these little electrodes that would kind of vibrate, but it was every year. So as we started to see some of these injuries, it was like, okay, let's look at this a little bit more. We got, again, the 3 walk-behind blowers where there's no, right? We haven't had an injury related to backpack blowing or any in the last few years. Most of it is just an accidental, I got a bee sting or there's a sliver or something like that. But the crew has really bought into the stretching and doing the right techniques for lifting. And if there is an injury report, again, which we haven't had in a while, I'll go back to the crew member and ask him, okay, so let's say they hurt their shoulder from throwing trash into the dumpster. Okay, well, what happened there? How much did it weigh? How long were you taking it from? Were you doing one of these where you go, that's just gonna, right? So there's proper techniques for that and we go through it every year.
I would say too that safety is our number one priority.
Yeah.
And we empower each and every one of our team members to, one, have the ability to say, wait, time out. What we're doing here doesn't make any sense. If I give you a job and I tell you to go do it and here's how I want you to do it, but it doesn't seem safe to you, we empower everyone to say, okay, time out, let's talk about it. Let's come up with a way to make it safe. We have a lot of equipment today. 30 years ago, we didn't have as much equipment. So there was a lot of really manual, heavy labor that was happening. But we have equipment, and we really emphasize using that equipment, because that equipment is what's going to protect your back, protect, all those injuries that are common with, sort of repetitive motion and things like that. So it's very important.
Also a big logistical thing to make sure that when leaves need to be picked up, that the right truck with the right lift gate, with the right blower
Exactly,
is there. So
exactly.
that no one's left
Right.
with a trash can and a truck that's up here.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's bring the leaves over to the lift gate. You can just push a button, it lifts everything up for you, and
Right. Assuming that person has a lift gate that day, everything's coordinated.
so that
right?
Brian example, I talked to him about that. I'm like, well, I feel comfortable putting the trash can over to the flatbed. I'm like, that's not what not to throw him under the bus, but that's not what we do. So I did have a talk with him about that, but I've been there in the field and I've done the same things and gotten injured. And again, safety is number one, and we try to talk with them as much as we can about doing the right thing.
I mean, one of the sort of foundational things that I always kind of draw on is I started in the field. I started, as a seasonal worker in parks way back when. So everything that we're asking of our people, we've done. Both Scott and I have done these things, but we're also very amenable to, things have changed over time, and we want to have those conversations. So we really, really prioritize that, and we talk about it frequently. Like, what are the issues? What are you seeing out there? What is, is there something that, is causing anxiety that we're asking you to do? We want to know about that. But we also know that, we've been out there, we know kind of where they're coming from. It's not that we're, go do this. We haven't done it before. It's, let's do it the safest way that we can with the equipment that we've got.
Can you share a little bit about the new employees and also the difference between seniors and non-seniors? Will we be seeing more seniors be added to staff and providing more opportunities for advancement?
Yeah, one of the things that Nick has tasked me with is, okay, we have 2 new maintenance workers coming in. Where's the opportunity for that growth for others and for those folks? Again, we have 1 lead in Laurel, then you have the 4 seniors and the maintenance workers. The seniors, with the input of the maintenance workers, really direct what that zone does. And they're also the first person to talk to customers and to kind of teach the newer maintenance workers about kind of the right way to talk to customers, but also the right work ethic, the right things to lift, right? All that kind of stuff. They're also, if Laurel and I aren't here, we have seniors that can kind of do some of the same stuff that we do. Nick especially has talked a lot about professional development over the last month or so. That's something that we're going to look into really heavily this year. It's a great staff. A lot of them want to move up. And I think hopefully we can kind of create some opportunities for that. We're meeting on tomorrow, to actually talk about some of that.
As we move forward, it's great to hear, much of what you're looking at seems very logical and very committed to a level of service that's very high. Knock on wood, hopefully, maybe in my lifetime, we're going to be adding park space and certainly higher maintenance. I mean, Park of Bothell Landing is, the new design is going to be a lot more
Right.
Maintenance work. And I know that that's going to be a topic of discussion as those projects move forward, is not only how do we build them and when do we build them, but how do we maintain them? And having your kind of, and the whole staff's dedication to the quality of staff, the training of the staff, and the recognition that that is a key part of operating the Parks and Recreation Department, is maintaining it, making it safe for people, improving the experience in a way that is still makes sense financially, as well as from a experience standpoint. So I'm very happy with the fact that you guys are focused on that and will do in the future, because I've seen projects in other cities where that wasn't, it was kind of an afterthought. Well, we built this park, but holy moly, we gotta maintain it.
Yep.
How are we gonna do that? And I don't think that's gonna happen here. And so I'm really happy about that. It does mean more budget.
So Manny, to address that, one of the things that we did in our capital facilities plan, if you look at it, it has a maintenance component
I
to
know
it.
that.
So what we've said is, if we're going to build new things, if we're going to put new infrastructure in the ground or on the ground, we are going to have to maintain it. And so part of the approval of the capital facilities plan is the recognition that if you build this, you now have to maintain it and you now own it. And there is a maintenance and operations component to that, and that's built into the actual project, so.
That's absolutely true. And oftentimes, a capital bond levy in the community to build something is also accompanied by a maintenance levy, oftentimes. Surprisingly, sometimes it's two different votes.
Yeah, no, Shoreline, it's happened.
Yeah. Mercer Island had it happen. They had a capital project bond fail. The maintenance levy succeeded. So they had money to maintain projects that they couldn't build.
Yeah.
So, and
The conundrum,
that'll never
for
happen
sure.
to us.
Yeah, and with some of the projects going on, Pavel, Madrazo, Aaron meets with the crew regularly to get their input,
Good.
right? I mean, all the time, especially with Laurel and I. I mean, at Pavel, for example, the 2 restrooms and trying to get across that whole park. Well, we should probably have an area where we have a gator or something we can, right? Instead of hauling garbage from the gravel lot all the way to the parking lot. So, yeah.
That's the kind of, great.
Yeah, and in the past, just when I was at Kirkland, we never got invited to any of those meetings. And then you kind of dealt with what you have, right?
They were dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, but anyway, that's been a really nice thing the last little bit is Aaron shares everything with us and wants
That's
our
great.
input.
That's very good.
I want to jump in real quick about Manny and Whitney both brought up kind of those opportunities for professional development. And as somebody who's worked in both the private and the government sector, one thing that we do in my current, it's a very different entity to work in the public sector, at least in my experience. And your job is much more well-defined for you and can sometimes feel constrained. So one thing they've done where I work is they have a rule where 10% of your hours can be devoted to things that are not in your job description. And our management's been back and forth on how liberally we're allowed to use that. But I will say the times that we are allowed to look into do projects that are related to our job, but are something we're really excited about, it drastically improves our productivity throughout the rest of the day. And so that would just be something I would encourage is trying to give workers, if you can't give them a promotion,
Right.
because we have some rigid structures, looking into how you can engage them with their own interests and how we can support it on some level.
Yeah, in our one-on-ones, which we do all the time, it's, what are you interested in? What do you want to do that you haven't done yet? Is there some kind of work or equipment that you want to get on? All that kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys have heard of Resource Management School, which is over at Fort Worden in Port Townsend. Did you go?
No, I didn't go, but my sister lives near there, and she has talked about that.
Yeah, so it's an opportunity to meet with other park professionals from Washington, Oregon, Idaho, California, and Canada to kind of go over exactly how to do a maintenance project for the parks. And you kind of can share ideas. It's a week-long training. I went to it when I was a little bit younger. We've sent everyone through there. Okay, good. But we've signed up every single person every year to go there, and it's a 2-year class. So that's one of the things that we've kind of been doing.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's all about the relationships, right? And you got to talk to your crew. Again, what do you want to do? what makes you, yeah, I want to steer you in that direction, right? So, yeah, we definitely do a lot of that.
A couple of specific questions in 97, 98, I believe.
What was that?
I still have the plaque in my office.
I have it, mine's 2008, and it has a scratch on it, but it's in my office, yeah.
So pesticide free, so you have yellow jacket nests, hornet nests.
We have to spray it.
I mean, you are taking care of that.
Yep.
Hazard tree stuff, I mean, as many trees as we have, I'm sure you deal with that a lot. In-house, do you?
It's
contract it out?
I usually will have,
Truck?
it's both. I'll have Laurel, my main arborist, and then Ryan, who in the glasses there, he's the one that falls our trees. I'll have Laurel and him go out, assess the situation on the tree. If it's something that Ryan feels especially safe in-house, he'll do it. We do have one bucket truck that we share with Public Works. Anything else on a major scale, we actually will contract out. And we use Davey Tree Service a lot.
You have, so it's just park trees, nothing with right of way?
We dealt with one on 102nd, where the bridge, where it's closed right now. We had a limb that was kind of it's in the right of way, but kind of a funky area. A lot of different entities said, that's not ours, that's not ours. We took care of it because it was something that was extremely bothersome to some customers. And I could see it, I drive that almost every day. So that's the one thing that we will do. If there is something in the right of way, next to my office is the street manager, store manager. We talk all the time. So, hey, can you guys go address this? Yeah.
So facilities, I mean, irrigation's different than plumbing. So you have on-staff plumbers you contract out for like the restroom plumbing versus irrigation, which.
So the irrigation is in-house with Laurel mainly, and then we have a facilities team that will take care of all the restrooms and any plumbing issues. Yeah, I mean, if it's minor stuff, changing a flushometer, that can be in-house. But as far as major plumbing stuff, we'll have facilities do it. It's a lot like the trees. If it's out of their scope, we'll contract that out.
Scott, appreciate it. Looking
Yeah.
forward to that lunch.
You feel okay with the leaves?
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Does that clear it up a little bit
Yeah,
more?
I actually really enjoyed your email because I thought it was very, I like seeing that you're protecting the staff, right? But I was like, wouldn't it protect them more not to pick up the leaves? And just looking at that from an ecological standpoint, but I appreciate that you guys are going to look into that.
Yeah,
Great, thank you.
All right.
And it looks like your staff hangs around a long time, so.
Awesome staff.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome staff. All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep your beautiful picture up there while I talk. My general updates are just kind of a reminder what Whitney prefaced last meeting is board and commissions, expirations, and terms ending. So Malia, Nick, Sheila, your terms are, expiring, but if you don't want to reappoint yourself or submit an application for it, it would be end of April. I have been informed that the opening process for applications will take place around next week. It is now, I got confirmation that it is a 4-year commitment. So it's a 4-year term for adult and 2-year for youth members. In addition to that, I just wanted to put on, save the date, that on January 21st at 5 to 6 p.m., Council is hosting a Board and Commission open house. They did this last year. It's for anybody that's currently on board and commissions, but also community members that are interested in learning about it. So it's all representatives. But yeah, we do have 5. So Barbie and Jace, your terms. And we would have to look into it as youth terms. I know you had great questions last year, Jace, with going out of high school and so on and so forth. So there's adult roles and then there's youth roles. But I just wanted to make sure that's kind of on everybody's radar. Amy, and she is with the clerk's office, informed me that she'll send out any information to any board members currently that would like more information about expectations and applications and processes. So the clerk's office is the best resource for that, and I'm more than happy to give you their emails. Sometimes you get it from Amy, and sometimes you might get it from Laura Warner, not Laura Warner, not you. Another Laura, and they're very helpful with all of that process. I would like to say, you know, having the opportunity to work with everybody at this table, we have made so much headway in the past year and a half with inclusive playground and Park of Bothell Landing, and now we have Former Wayne Golf Course and the pros plan. To have such an active and enthusiastic board is so pivotal, and we just applaud and thank you. So that's not me saying I want you to reapply, but I do. Because we're just so grateful. Just a hint, you know, but we completely understand schedules and we completely understand there are other priorities to come that way, but we just have to have some major projects. Specifically with Aaron, with Pros Plan, I would say that's going to be one of our biggest rollout this year and towards the end, along with, as you all have been part of Pavel, and then the Former Wayne Golf Course. Any questions on that? Yeah.
Do you have a time for the 21st yet?
Yeah, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. in this room.
And I,
A lot of people.
I don't know if you,
It was
They
packed
did it
last year.
Mhm.
Remember that?
I do remember that. Do we, I was going to ask here. I know that there was an ongoing project about board and commission, council relationships.
Yeah.
And will that be a topic of that, or are we going to hear back the progress of that?
Yeah, so that's another item. So clerk's office is working with all the council to do joint meetings specific to boards and commissions. We had a tentative date in March, but there was some lap over with our date. The date that I had tentatively was March 4th, which wasn't on our actual board meeting date. It has not been confirmed that date because there was another commission that needed it. So I will definitely let you know as soon as I know, but it is a priority. They tabled it out to have every single board and commission have a joint meeting. It's a separate joint meeting. So it's just this board with council, same with the other commission. So it will be happening this year.
Because, I know that one of the initiatives was having our chair, who did such a great job, give updates on the progress of the board's initiatives, et cetera. And I thought that was just a really big step.
Yeah.
And I know that that usually involved, well, that I've watched, questions back and forth and.
Anyone's welcome to do that, by the way.
I didn't say that. I said you've done such a great job.
Too many.
Yeah, that was good. Glad to hear that that's moving forward.
I will also say at the open house, if you didn't attend last year, it's on a Tuesday night right before council. So council members were also working the room in a more informal way. It's a great opportunity to connect there too.
It was busy.
It was really warm in here.
It was. So that was one of the items that I just kind of wanted to give an update on. And then general update, it's 2025, so it's always planning for the year. As you know, the budget was passed in December. So that gives staff a little bit more time. We take January and February to really, we already kind of know the trajectory, but there are some bigger items in January that we take time. In my scope of work, I would say I can speak to events. We are going to template the same summer nights program, bring back the youth programs, which is the concerts in the theater. We're going to bring back the pop-up in the park. We piloted that last year. Pop-up in the park is intentional to just meet our recreationists where they're at, but we're going to move around in different parks. That is always dependent on our seasonal staff, the seasonal staff that work under events. They usually take on that body of work, or will be taking on that body of work, but they usually start around June 16th. It's usually right after college as well, kind of them coming out of their last semester. So pop-up in the park and those programs will come back. We will slate the same schedule of events in our signature, which is 4th of July parade, and then Halloween. As you all saw, the winter program of lights, we want to bring that back. We learned some challenges with just power and sources, but those were all great additions this year. I want to plug 4th of July that it is on a Friday this year, which is kind of great, but also you always think, okay, so the crowd's going to be bigger. We don't know yet. I've kind of peppered the idea the last few years about board being involved. When I say being involved, going down the parade route, Bothell Parks has never had really a representation going down the parade route. And so fire, police, public works, they get that. I'm like, but Bothell Parks, we should, so if anybody's interested.
You know, Mercedes convertible.
Manny has the car. I don't know. But if anybody's interested, there are ways that we can provide. We have a really good company that we go through that does, not floats per se, but does displays, art displays when you walk down, or if we have vehicles, we would have staff like drive one of our trucks. Just representation, because we have so many events that launch right after that. It would be great engagement. And then other feedback on general updates, it's just Shelby is working on special event permits. She said it's been one of the busiest years or months of permits since she's been here. We already have around 13 or 14 applicants, which ranges from fun runs to a new race, a new bicycle race. I can't remember what the name of that one. You need a block party to just massive events. So that just means Bothell's on the map. I will also note our sub-cities or surrounding cities, if they can't hold these community events, they are pushing come to Bothell. So that is kind of that new thing of more community organizers are coming to Bothell asking to use the space. So those are great things to be aware of as well. And then you saw the new art display. If you hadn't seen the new art display, that's with Danae McGee. She's our tourism arts manager. So those are some different items on that general update. But Whitney and I have spoken, kind of given more comprehensive what we accomplished in 2024, what to look ahead of in 2025. I'm open to suggestions or what you want to hear, what was accomplished last year, if there's certain numbers, data, or visuals, representations, and what services you wanted to hear about. Aaron Milner will be coming back, of course, to give updates. He is going to council next Tuesday for the Park of Bothell Landing. So if you're interested to be at that meeting or listen to that meeting, he will be speaking to council specifically from Park of Bothell Landing. Those are my updates, but I also want to give it a
Will there be a decision or what?
So Aaron, along with our consultants, will be there, and really just to give an update on where we're at, and to really stress all the great work that the Parks and Rec Board has been doing to get us to this point. But this is just one stop on a journey to get through this project. So we put together a presentation, and we'll be giving that to council, and they'll have lots of time to ask tons of questions. And it's not the exact same presentation that we did for you. So it's a little bit more condensed, and we're trying to really just, say that we've worked with the community. Our Parks and Rec Board has worked, on this. There was a unanimous, approval of it moving forward. And this is where we're at today. This is where we're going from here.
So is a new design being presented to council?
They will have the full conceptual design. Yeah.
So are they looking for approval of the conceptual design?
We're not asking them to approve. We're updating them.
So are you soliciting feedback?
We're soliciting feedback because we know in the design process, even in conceptual design, things will likely change, just because it'll have to as we start working through those issues. So, yeah. Along with that, I just want to do a really quick, I'll make this really brief, but last year we did an RFP for pros plan, and we received 7 applications for that from consultants. We have consultant interviews scheduled for January 22nd. And then we also did an RFQ for our former Wing Golf Course. And we had actually 12 consultants put in for that. A lot of interest there, both on the national level and the local level. So pretty exciting. We're doing 6 interviews on January 23rd for that. And then also just wanted to mention that council is holding their annual retreat on the 17th and 18th of this month. That will be over at the Fire Station 42 downtown. And that's a Friday, Saturday. It will start at 3 p.m. on the Friday. And I think it will end at 3 p.m. on the Saturday. So I don't think they plan on working through the night, but you never know. You never know. And finally, I just wanted to mention that with all the unfortunate incidents that have been happening down in Southern California, we sent an engine company from Bothell. They left this morning at 7 a.m. and they are en route right now to help out with all the disaster that is happening down there right now.
I have some relatives and close friends, because I was from that area. Thank goodness, not in that area, but very close, and it's just
Devastating.
nothing that anyone has ever seen before. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I forgot to ask Scott one question, which is not a hard question, hopefully, but was there anything that you would want the board to know in the next year while we don't see you when we're looking at different park projects and the pros plans from like the maintenance side, just to like keep in mind or to have knowledge of?
For everybody.
I asked the crew yesterday. I'm like, I think they're gonna ask me, what are the biggest challenges? That was brought up before. And this may sound disingenuous, but it is genuine. We're in a really good spot. We're in a really, really, really good spot. You know, the main thing that they might complain about would be graffiti, right? That's really it. We're in a good place. I think for you guys, it was mentioned earlier, attending more of the events and having more of a presence out there would be a really good thing. It's a little different when you come to Blythe every day and we see you, but maybe establishing more of those relationships with the crew. I think that would be a big thing.
I'll throw it out there, but if lunch is not on budget, I don't mean to make them work harder, but we could do like a tree planting or something and get our families to come help, because we don't want to do it alone, but.
What's
Kind of like a ride along.
a ride along? Yeah. Okay, all right, that's good stuff.
That's cool.
See, I think Blaine said she's got about
Go to work
5,000
for
for
the
the
park
lunch.
stuff.
So.
Wow,
Yeah.
champagne fountain.
But maybe we do like a mini Arbor Day. We have lunch and then we do some planting somewhere.
Help them, or, if they have a project that they can use some hands, let's
Oh,
do
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Let's roll up our
And then,
sleeves.
again, I love the ride along. I think that would be great. Yeah, I think that would be great. Thank you. That's see my name tag.
That's it. I'm good. Yes.
Oh, sorry, Manny.
And this is probably not even, it may not even be related to Parks and Recreation, but I've heard several people in the last couple of weeks come up to me and express concern about the senior center and some of the direction that they've gone and their staffing, et cetera. I know that's not city responsibility yet, perhaps, but any feedback we could get on the health and the because it's such an important thing to the whole community, not just Bothell, but the whole North Shore area. So maybe at some
Even
future
outside
point.
of that,
What's that?
Even outside of that, a lot of members don't even live in the North Shore area.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah. So,
it's a huge.
and I don't know if that's something that would come back to the board or what, but because I know it's two different entities, but we have representation on the board, I know. City representation, not board, this board representation. And again, I'd like to, if there's anything that the board can do to support the senior center in whatever way, I'd like to see that.
So I think there's a few things that are happening right now.
Yeah.
Obviously with the bridge, that's been really impactful.
Really impactful.
And hopefully, actually tonight, we're starting that project.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a shutdown at 522 tonight, just if you didn't know, it's happening.
You'll hear about that?
Yeah, that's been really impactful, and it's really sort of hurt their operations over there. We're well aware of that. Becky Range is our assistant city manager. She sits on, she's the chairperson of the NPRSA, which is the North Shore Parks and Recreation.
Assistants always get those.
They do. They do. They're working on a number of different things. So they're working not only with the senior center, but they're also working on a new initiative to build a community-type center. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be pushed towards the city of Woodinville. Woodinville is actively pursuing, I think, 3 or 4 parcels over in the downtown area to build a community center that's not only focused on seniors, but it's focused on, pretty much families all the way through. So there's a lot of things that are happening there. I certainly could touch with Becky and see if there's any opportunity at some point to interface with the president, and we could do that.
That'd be great, thank you.
Or even if we can, and I'm just pulling this out, how we can interact with them. When I say with them, the senior center, to bring more awareness of what our parks offer and that kind of thing. I know Whitney was there for Whale Scout doing a presentation, but I think building the awareness, not only the staff, but especially and usually only in nice climate weather is going to be more beneficial for them. But
We definitely, like during the pros plan, for example, we will be over there at the senior center. We'll be presenting, sort of what the plan's all about and seeking feedback as we did in the past. It's a really good venue. We usually like to tie it to Pie Day because I like pie. They make amazing pie there, so.
They do have
yeah, good lunches, good lunch.
Just on Friday.
Sheila, do we have an update on the dog statute?
Yes, we have our meeting next Wednesday, January 15th, with the Arts Commission. And so we will be talking about, go over the whole plan that we discussed last week. I am planning right now to go tomorrow to Doug Allen and just familiarize, I've been a few times, but I want to familiarize myself more on that. So I think for the next park meeting in February, we'll be able to discuss more specifics.
And I'm going to be jumping on, like a little bit late. I know Danae's leading it with
Right.
you. But we have our first 4th of July meeting at that same
Oh,
time.
okay.
So, but I will jump on.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
4th of July.
Happy New Year.
Anything else for the good of the order? I'll invite a motion to adjourn.
Second.
To adjourn made by Maggie, seconded by Barbie. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
It's gonna be a great year.
Yeah.
Hi, Malia.
So is art